I'm going to take everybody through a tour of the actual cloud platform. It is a SaaS platform, and like Taryn mentioned, it currently is in the beta stage. We're pretty much using this every day for our own needs. So we know the ins and outs, and on a daily basis, this thing is getting updated. So soon, hopefully, we should be able to provide you guys with a production release. As soon as we log into the cloud platform, the interface should be pretty intuitive. It's easy to understand. Up on the top, we have our menus. We have our document section where all of our documents are stored and categorized. We have chatting capabilities. We have meetings, and then finally we have sync rooms. So I'll cover each one of these shortly. Before I go there, the way this works is anybody who signs up will be able to create an organization. So the current company here, underneath it, the integration points. So if I click on this right here, we should be able to see what we call integration systems. So these are incorrectly labeled, and I apologize for that for now. But for example, if you integrated with Project One, service-wise, customer-wise, Jira, Salesforce, any of those, you can actually click into them, and they'll have its own separate space for documents, meetings, etc. The next step would be to set up your teams. So here we got only one team, but we're able to configure multiple teams, and they will also have their own document storage, meetings, etc. Within each team, we divide them up into, or we categorize everything by what we call spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and try to create a new space here. Like Taryn mentioned, each space can be access controlled. So we have, a space that's public to everybody. Everything in there can be seen by everybody. Then we have a protected space where only invited users can see, and then finally private, where there's more access there or limitations there. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a space right here and just going to make it public for now. And we now have a new support space. And so here we're able to go ahead and create new documents, or upload documents. A couple of different ways to upload documents. The first is the most basic one, where we can just go ahead and open Windows Explorer or whatever file manager you're using and directly upload a document there. Second way is from My Save Files. So Kloud also provides a way for you to store all of your files, personal files, directly within the platform. So you can select or upload into your private space, and then kind of bring that over for everybody else to see. And then finally, some other integrations with other document storages like Dropbox and Google Drive. So I've already got a couple of documents uploaded here, and there's quite a bit of things you can do with documents here. So right away, you see a list of documents. For each document, you'll be able to see the number of syncs, and I'll cover that shortly, and then the number of meetings performed with that. So that's what actually makes this a little bit different than just your traditional document storage. These documents are interactive as soon as I create a sync. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe open something here. For example, this one. And so immediately it brings us into what Taryn called the LiveDoc view. So from here, I can create my syncs. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new sync here. And I'll just call it a new sync for now. Oops. So I'm going to record a sync. So what is happening right now at the moment is it's actually recording my voice as well as any annotations I make to this document. So typically, we write things as best as we can, but there's often times where that information gets misinterpreted. So having a sync associated with your documents, I think that's a tremendous advantage, especially when you're working with distributed teams. So we kind of do this daily, working with our teams overseas. Provides two things. So clarity, and then also be able to actually work at our own time. So when I'm creating these syncs, I don't need to necessarily talk to my teams live, right? I can actually create a sync, record this right onto the document. So we got a couple features or controls over on the right-hand side, and we try to use, as many modern tools as we can to assist with this. So right here we have the pen option. It's pretty straightforward. You get to indicate the, thickness of the line that you're drawing and the color. So it's something like this. I can highlight that real easily. I can, draw lines. I can highlight, and I find this one extremely useful because I'm always kind of doing something like this when I'm presenting. And then also we can insert comments, text directly into the document. Okay. And then finally we have this guy right here, which I think is really nice, to be able to embed video objects to support your documentation. So if I click on something like this right here, my cursor becomes a little video icon, but at any given point, I can click on that and kind of upload a video or get a YouTube link and put it directly right next to my document at that position I clicked. Okay, so there's some really cool things with this that we can do. So your documents are now a lot more effective than, let's just say, the text that's being written on there. So as soon as I'm done, I can go ahead and save that, and I hit OK, and now we have what we call a interactive document. These guys are all shareable, provided that you have their privileges, right? So we can invite users to look at this document, to look at my syncs, and whatnot, by just giving them the URL. So everything in here that you see is actually an object, an URL that's shareable. Everything is secured because in the back end, we're doing encryption at rest. And of course, Taryn mentioned, the performance. So if I give this link to anybody anywhere in the world on any device, they'll be able to see this, with clarity. All right, so now I've done that, then, essentially, I think I had a little minor issue there, but I would have had a sync here where I can click. So there's going to be multiple syncs. You can always check out what, input from your teams, right? So anybody can do a sync against this document. At the same time, when I click into a document too, let's just say I wanted to do a, live conversation with you. So at any given time, I can actually click on more, and then I could just start a meeting right there. So I'm gonna see if this guy works for me. All right, so basically when I do something like that, it's asking me for some preparation there. But right here, what I'm doing is I'm presenting the document itself. So no longer am I doing screen sharing. So screen sharing, the major problem with that I find is I often have to change my resolution on my device, on my computer, in order for my attendees to see clearly. But with LiveDocs, no matter what device my attendees use, they're always going to be able to see this documentation along with any kind of embedded objects I have within it, crystal clear. And I think Taryn mentioned up to 4K resolution and maybe even 8K, but that's what you're going to get with this. And so, yeah, so that's the documents in a nutshell. So, we're able to also chat with, anybody within the team or outside of the team even. So I'm not sure if this is fully working at the moment, but just know that there's going to be chat capabilities coming. And then finally, we get to the meeting option. So any meetings that we ever create, that we've ever done, will be all recorded here. So not only are they against the document itself, but you're able to actually see all meetings regardless of what the document is. I'm also able to schedule future meetings. And like Terry mentioned, once this is in production release, then I think going forward, when we do our webinars, we'll be using this platform. I'm able to join meetings simply by clicking on the top buttons up on the top. And this really should have been called Start Meeting. But essentially, every user in the system will have their own room or own meeting ID. And so at any given time, they can share this out with somebody. And if the meeting was ongoing, anybody that has access will be able to just punch this guy in and join the meeting right away. Okay, moving forward to the sync rooms. So this guy is probably, one of my favorite features. So it's very similar to, your Slack, your Microsoft Teams, and possibly even your Skype. Um, but the only thing being is it's everything in one place. So not only am I, managing my meetings, managing my documents, but I'm actually able to hold discussions within anybody that I invite into this channel, into this room. Okay, so when I click on it, it actually brings me into the sync room itself. Again, this can be shared out with anybody. It's just an URL. Over on the right-hand side, it will contain any objects that I decide to throw into the sync room. So we can be talking about some requirements and things like that. So these are my two documents that I currently have um, within this room for collaboration. This is going to be changed going forward as well. There's going to be, the primary page will actually be an ongoing chat, kind of like everything else. But what's nice about this is it's going to have all of your documents, all of the meetings that you ever had regarding this topic. Okay, so that's what these controls are. And of course, if you notice at any given time for any document that I click on, for anything I click, I'm always able to, create a sync, chat with others, and then finally start a meeting. Okay, so that's the primary purpose of the sync rooms. I'm going to now move forward to showing you some real life examples, some use cases, and how we can use this tool. So currently we are, we started doing API work. We started doing integrations with other systems, and we kind of used Project One, Dev Suite, service-wise and customer-wise as a starting point. In the near future, we're going to be doing a webinar as well on, the cloud integration with service-wise and customer-wise as well. So we got big plans there because what this is going to bring to the table is we're going to be able to bring chat, we're going to be able to bring meetings, we're going to be able to bring remote access right into service-wise. So you're going to get everything in one place without needing to, go and grab another tool, right? So everything's going to be all integrated, one click for everything, and it's going to be fantastic. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to do a quick recap of Project One. So I'm going to bring that over here to my screen here. And so Project One is basically a newer interface, a new interface to Dev Suite. So it's for project management, for task tracking purposes, for ALM purposes. But over here, I'm going to go ahead and bring that over. It looks like I'm having some issues. I'm going to try again. Okay, now I got my projects out. All right, so here I have a list of my projects. So I have something like just a task tracker, just tracking my tasks. And then I have something a little bit more sophisticated where I'm tracking an actual application development. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it looks like I'm having a bunch of issues today. I apologize for that. I'm going to try to reload one more time. Okay, there we go. All right, so inside Project One, again, you have your list of projects. And then depending on your needs, you can enable any of these modules. So this is a full ALM development type of project. I have my requirements all the way down to testing. But inside my requirements, this is kind of like something we do on a daily basis. So we have our top level, our high level requirements. We're breaking those down into smaller set of technical specs. But oftentimes what happens is we're going to go ahead and associate documents to those. Okay, so when I click over here on the right hand side, I'm able to drag any document directly into any requirement, any task, right? So once you do that, you're going to have a little icon here. And when I click on it, essentially what you'll see is that if it does have any syncs, it'll be listed out right there. So I can easily click on this document. It's going to actually bring up the cloud interface where I can do a few things. I can view this document. I can play this document, and I can actually create additional syncs off of this document. So this is this is, the thing that we use on a daily basis. We find it extremely effective, again, with our distributed teams, right? Moving over to another use case is something that's totally new, and I'm going to pull up our DevSuite interface. So inside DevSuite, inside my requirements management again, and I have something called our change and approval view. So traditionally, what this guy was for was if there were a couple of requirements that needed revisions, we would actually create what we call a change request, and that would actually flag out everything that was being done, or implemented according to that requirement. So, for example, if you're in the middle of testing, if you're in the middle of implementation, by creating a change, um, by creating a change request here, it's going to actually flag those down, and just let people realize or know that, hey, actually, stop what you're doing. Um, there's been a change. So in addition to that, we added actually a review and approval process. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create one right here for us. So we're going to go ahead and do a review or an approval. So I'm just going to call this, review for. Okay. And then the type, of course, is going to be an approval. So I'm going to submit that. The next thing that I'm going to be able to do is I'm able to actually start linking my specifications to it. So here I have my list of specifications for this particular application. Some of them will have, attachments, documents. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and, just select a few there, hit that link button there. And then essentially what we've now done is we created a approval request where somebody actually needs to approve these 4 requirements. Okay. And the way we do that is we basically have to indicate who our approvers are going to be. And they could actually be outside too. So I know some of our customers actually send out requirements to a third party and, try to pick out the right, vendor to actually implement this for them. So it could actually be external as well. Don't have to be, just the team members within this tool. But essentially, we're picking our approvers, and then we have the official sign off. So the guy who says, okay, everything's been approved. I think we're okay to go ahead and do this, right? So we have 2 concepts there: an approver and the overall signer. But this whole thing is going to be done by the sync rooms. So you can kind of see there's like a big blue button right there. I'm just going to open this guy as a sync room, and it's going to bring everything over to that room. Okay, so it's going to bring my 4 requirements. If they have documents, then it's all going to be listed here. So I can click on any of those, and I will have, the capability of adding my comments directly into each individual ones. I can actually hold meetings, right, to talk about this before I approve, and things like that. So finally, once we approve all of these, then, that requirement request will be completed. Okay, so that's a use case. Other use cases will include something totally different. So I'm going to pull up so I'm going to bring these guys out of here. I'm going to just pull up what we use internally to track our sales opportunities and whatnot. So oftentimes, we actually need to work with our customers to negotiate, to get that approval on a sales quote. So we need to collaborate a little bit, either internally, discuss what's right for our customers, or even talk with the customers and see if they, like what we presented. So I've generated a sales quote, and I'm just going to send that over to, CloudSync or Kloud as well. So essentially, it's the same thing. It's just a couple of different use cases, but essentially, I can talk about this quote with, the internal team. I can hold meetings. I can chat with our customers directly and whatnot. So all in all, there's just so many different use cases, for this. So this is actually currently integrated with our own sales tool, but imagine using, Salesforce with this tool. So we're going to be providing APIs, open APIs and plugins, some native plugins that allows, these applications to have this kind of functionality. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you guys today. Finally, in the at the end, I'm just going to give you a quick preview of what's coming for the cloud integration with ServiceWise and CustomerWise. So I'm going to log into our support portal real fast. Here it's pretty clear. It's basically just an announcements. We're able to see a list of our tickets and whatnot. But pretty soon there's going to be another tab where we're able to actually click on that tab and talk live with the support team, or we're able to drag a few tickets into that and into that room and be able to discuss there. So that's going to be all provided by integrating with cloud. So I think Taryn, I think we mentioned that's going to be coming in about 2 months. I'm pretty excited for that. I know everybody, our ServiceWise customers will be as well. So that's all there is to this for now. Taryn, do you want to address anything else that I might have missed?
Yeah, we will provide the more integrations. The purpose of this cloud platform is to get rid of the video stream based online meeting, instead to enable the online meeting process to be linked with your task, your support incident, and with your document. And not only you have an easier way of starting a meeting from any devices, including your phone, pad, but also all the meeting or the syncs ever created are automatically saved with your document. And we probably have not emphasized one of the very important benefits, which is cloud actually remembers, knows if your customers have watched your document, have listened to your sync, which is a live presentation with your voice, and making the live document to be more capable of describing your idea. And whenever you send a sales quotes, if the customers have read, watched your sales quote, and if they ever have questions, where do they spend more time reading your document? So that's super cool. And I probably want to emphasize one of the very significant application of cloud technology is for online learning, for schools to create courses using our live document technology, and to be able to do the lessons to be using unlimited resolution true color to have astonishing result for the student to watch. And best of all, with the LiveDoc technology, not only you can do a big lesson presentation driven group lessons, but you can actually do meetings inside meetings where you can provide private coaching individually. So when you are coaching student one, you are presenting the lecture contents more tailored for student one. And when you switch to student two, automatically the voice channel as well as the live document channel, content channels are zoomed with that student only. So that something I just want to add, please.
Okay.
And we did not get the time to talk about pricings. Maybe you can just briefly describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was going to wrap it up with one last thing for our attendees here. So there's one more thing, just so you guys are aware. So all of our documentation is currently held, at help.techacell.com. So we're actually in the process of modifying all of this documentation. As a matter of fact, we're trying to, put more documentation for Project One, getting ready to, release. But we've done this actually using our cloud platform. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it's actually going to open up, what's called our sync books. So essentially, it's a sync room, but just a different type. And within this document, you'll see it's actually our overview guide here. So when we do something like this, I'm going to go to the next page here. We're going to be able to embed those objects that I mentioned earlier, right? So this is going to help tremendously with understanding, any product or any kind of documentation. So, focus less maybe on the text, but give more examples through video. So this is actually one of the videos that we embedded directly right into the document itself. So just want to let people be aware that, this is capable of, doing release notes or any kind of documentation as